Just in general, like what is self-development, and I guess for you, and like how important is that for you?
I think personal development it's the secret to life. I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying. I spent the last almost 10 years kind of going through ebbs and flows of personal development, and I decided when I hit 38 in December that it's time to get serious. I don't want to hit 40 and still be doing ebbs and flows. I want to be where I want to be. I want to be the man that I'm supposed to be, and I think personal development is a really big part in that. And I think it's also subjective. I could offer you a book, but it's not going to speak to you the same way that something that you find is going to speak to you.
Right.
So.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Be Bright podcast, where we're here to feature one of our Bright partners and also a bright individual, Jeff Lakomy with Prospect Roof Co. What's up, Jeff? How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man.
Good. Well, hey, if you don't mind, maybe just giving us a little bit of background, like where you're from, anything about the childhood. I know you're an Arizona native, which Arizona natives love. If you want to give us a little bit of a background of you and...
I grew up in Sierra Vista, which is a southern town here in Arizona. Born and raised. I've moved away a couple of times, and something kept coming back to Arizona. Tried my hand in many different industries, and roofing is where I ended up.
Awesome. And as far as your roofing experience goes, I know we've been working with you for several years, at a few different stops, but we've always appreciated your quality communication and just having that personal relationship. But maybe just give us a little bit of a background about how you got into roofing, kind of what your journey's been up until, Prospect Roof Co.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was building houses in 2019 when I got into roofing. The home builder that I was working with had a roofing division, so I wanted to try my hand in that. I had met this kid that was doing roofing sales. He said he was a storm chaser. I had no idea what that was at the time. But I guess you go around and you help homeowners with insurance claims in like hurricane areas and stuff like that.
Cool.
So I was just asking him about his process. We had ended up hiring him, and in the first week, he had brought this stack of contracts. I was like, no way, dude. I'm used to you sell a few houses a year and you build a few houses a year. But no, he comes back with like 5 contracts in the first week. So automatically I got interested in it. Went out with him for a couple weeks. Same thing happened to me. I just came back with a bunch of contracts. I'm like, well, this actually is better than building homes. So I just went full force into that. And then COVID ended up happening. So everybody in that area was shutting down. Like the whole everything, businesses and everything. Right. So I was like, well, shoot, man, I got a family, I got, a career to think about. So I decided to move up to the big city of Phoenix and hooked up with a company, and sales skyrocketed for me even during the pandemic. So went from sales to operations to running the companies, helping grow companies, and then decided to do it for myself.
Nice, man. And obviously we've talked a little bit about each other's stories, and like, it's kind of tough sometimes because like when, business partnerships or, working for an employer or whatever you want to describe it doesn't work out, like at the time, it just seems like a huge blow. And it can really cause maybe times when you have to reflect internally and try to figure out like, man, what am I going to do next? But then also, on the other side of it, if you just keep going, it can kind of turn into something beautiful, like starting your own thing. So obviously, you don't have to get into details if you don't want to, but obviously kind of working for a couple different companies, getting experience, maybe some good experiences, maybe some not so good experiences. What do you feel like you learned maybe at the past places that you worked that you think really helped prepare you for like being a business owner?
Well, the first company that I worked with, I helped co-found, and we experienced massive growth really quickly. I learned what not to do in scaling a company. That was probably the best experience that I've had in my life. I don't have any hard feelings for that company or anybody that was there. It was a learning experience for me, and I'm glad that I got it. But I learned how to build a team, how to work with other businesses, how to scale a company. And then the second company that I had worked for, I learned how to multiply sales and stuff like that. So I just took all these systems and processes and the sales methods that I have and just figured I'd do it for myself and see what I can do with my own brand.
Sure. And, when it comes to starting a business, everybody's experience is a little bit different. I know for me, it's like it's not like a one day you wake up and you're like, hey, I just this aha moment per se, but I feel like for me there was kind of this sort of lingering feeling for some time that like, hey, like I really want to try to do this on my own or experience this on my own, or I feel like if I was the one fully leading the ship that, you know, could be A, B, or C, were there any kind of key moments or thoughts or experiences that happened up before, you know, starting Prospect Roofco that like were just sort of these aha moments or things that kind of helped propel you to want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. The last company that I was at, about the end of the year, I just was sitting in the office looking around. The owners hadn't been in there in quite a while, and they've been pretty hands off. And I realized I'm running the whole entire show. Like,
Sure.
what am I doing here? Like, they're off, you know, living their life, doing their thing. So I decided right then and there that, you know, I have everything in place that I would need to start a successful company. I've been doing it for other people, so
Sure.
it was pretty easy.
Yeah, and roofs are an interesting thing because it's like it's not like a luxury, it's a necessity.
It is.
You know, obviously there's so many homes here and like every home has a roof, and it's not if you're going to need a new roof, it's when at some point. And obviously not all roofs are created equally by companies. You know, we went out to install on a home, and one home was like 4 years old and they needed a brand new roof, you know. And then you have some homes that are 25, 30 years old, and it's like, wow, like the roof has kind of stood the test of time. I mean, for you, can you kind of speak to, you know, sort of now we're morphing more into like roof stuff, but like what are some signs of a bad roof, would be kind of the first part of the question. And then second would be like, how do you, when you go ahead and install a roof, make sure that it's done properly, to be able to at least kind of hit that minimum life expectancy of at least 20 years?
Okay. Good question. So signs of a bad roof, if you got a shingle roof, obviously, missing shingles. If you have heavy granular loss or anything like that, you notice that the shingle color is starting to fade out and you're starting to see some shininess going through, and that's the fiberglass matting in the shingle. That's a sure sign that your roof's getting old. Obviously leaks. That's that's a dead giveaway there. On
Guilty.
tile roofs, missing tiles, broken mortar joints. Your underlayment will just start drying and curling up. Most people don't really look at their roof,
Sure.
surprisingly. It's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. It's above the eye level, so nobody really notices anything until there's a leak. So, yeah, those would be the signs to look for. And then I would say on installation, as long as you're following the manufacturer's spec and just following the building codes, then you're going to install a good product.
Sure. And obviously, you know, when it comes to roofing, a few reasons we tried out a bunch of different roofing partners in our time. I mean, a few things that we really appreciated about you was number one, your communication. I think far and away, like customers I've talked to of mine, just of ours, are like, oh, Jeff is like very communicative, but it's not just like, oh, you're checking in with them or you're reaching out to them, but like you also know your stuff. And you can kind of simplify that. I mean, for you, when it comes to customer experience, one thing that I love about your guys' motto, it's like your roof, our reputation.
Absolutely.
Can you kind of speak more into, you know, just kind of the why behind that and what your sort of method or process is and thought, like when you're going to a stranger's home, like obviously you want to give them the best experience possible, but what kind of motivated, I guess, that sort of motto and just the way you go about things?
The biggest thing is working for other companies. I've seen in the past, homeowners get dissatisfied. There's always some sort of homeowner complaint or something going on, just in the companies that I worked with. And when I started Prospect, I just wanted to eliminate all of that. I wanted to hit everything head on, address questions head on, make sure that the homeowners are well aware of the process and everything that's going to happen. I feel like it makes for a better experience for the customer. And then if I'm walking away with the idea that I want to have them part of the Prospect family and refer to friends and family and all that, I think that's a better goal than just trying to get a sale and move on to the next.
Sure. Yeah, and that's, you know, I think similar to us at Bright Home, you know, you still kind of work by the, you know, like referrals are the best source of business. Like word of mouth is the best source of business. I mean, as far as that goes, it all comes down to their experience because
Yep.
technically they could get a roof from anybody. A lot of companies have the same products. A lot of companies could install it similarly, maybe. But at the end of the day, it's that experience you're giving them. It's that attention to detail, the communication, and overall them feeling like it is their roof, but it's like your reputation's on the line. I find that when I think about sort of you in a nutshell, like you're in an interesting position because you have a couple different customers that you have to keep happy. Obviously, you have the actual customer whose roof it is, and probably most important. But then you have, like, for us, if we hand you a job, like, it's us, like, we're your customer as well. But then also our sales reps who are the ones kind of in the middle, maybe helping you with it, or it's their solar cell. I mean, what are some things that you feel like you offer? Like, for example, if there was a solar company or any other kind of sales company that says, hey, we run into roofing situations, we need a good roofer, like what could they expect from Jeff and Prospect Roof Co. to kind of make that process as seamless as possible, not just for their actual customer, but maybe for the company as well as the individual rep?
It's the same thing, man. The experience, the process from start to finish, the communication. I mean, every roofer out there can lower his price and he can promise the world, but unless you're actually giving them the great process and the experience that they want throughout that life of the sale, they're not going to want to use you on the next one.
Sure.
I mean, there are companies out there that just look for the lowest dollar, but then in the end, they're not getting the referrals and everything that they should be getting.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the thing is obviously you're in a very competitive space. What do you feel like if you were to maybe a customer popped on, a potential customer, and you were to kind of give a couple bullet points, like why Prospect Roof Co. versus like XYZ Roofing?
I let my reviews speak for themselves. I offer them references. I have some really good fans out there that have no problem with chatting on the phone with a homeowner for 10, 15 minutes and telling them how great of a job we did. So, I mean, I try to eliminate the price, try to eliminate the materials because everybody's kind of installing the same thing. I mean, we do something a little bit different with our tile roofs, but really it just comes down to letting the other customers speak for me.
Sure. And when you say, something a little bit different with tile roofs, I know with us, there's kind of a few different packages or options. If you want to maybe speak a little bit about, there's kind of like a standard roof that maybe anybody would do or put on. But then I know just for long-term sustainability, quality, you have a few different options if you kind of want to talk about what those are and kind of how those work.
Yeah. So most common roof here in the valley is going to be a tile roof. So that's my favorite kind of roof. I love doing those over shingle all day long. We could do the base package, which is exactly what a builder would put down, just 40-pound underlayment. And that'll get you the 20 to 25 years most likely. I mean, we're going to install it well, so everything's going to be to spec. The actual manufacturer is only going to rate it for one layer at 10 years, but we know judging by homes that it'll last longer than that. I decided to take it a step further. We combine that with we have another option, which is that combined with a synthetic underlayment over top. And I have a letter from the CEO of the manufacturer that states that, for one, they'll warranty it for life over the 40-pound felt. And then for two, they'll also warranty it for life with any solar installation afterwards, which is huge for the solar companies out there. A lot of the underlayments, as soon as you make a penetration, voids the warranty.
Right.
So this one doesn't, and I have a letter from the CEO stating that they're going to stand behind whatever it is that I'm doing out there as long as I'm doing it correctly.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And, that's definitely a unique product and offering just because, in the solar realm, most contracting, I mean, roof, solar, you're around 20 to 25 years on things, but feeling that confident in, that extra warranty, that extra peace of mind, it's probably like the best way to phrase it would be almost like the best warranty you're never going to need, just to give that peace of mind. And like, it's unlikely most of the homeowners are going to be there for 40 years, but, it's like me, I just moved into a home 3 years ago. And initially there was some roof damage. And then even the other day, yesterday, I'm like, dude, it was raining and had a little bit of a leak, like come freaking figure this out for me. And it's like just adding that extra peace of mind long term, not just for that homeowner, but definitely can help with resale value, having stuff like that. And then just, peace of mind for the homeowner to know that, hey, like I have a quality product that's going to last for almost ever and not going to have to worry about my roof again for 40 years is pretty comforting feeling because it's like, it's out of sight, out of mind until it's like in sight and in mind, and then you can't get it out of your head.
In your situation, that company actually did a Band-Aid, not a
Okay.
repair. So, advice to homeowners out there, don't hire the lowest dollar. Vet your companies. Make sure that they're licensed, bonded, insured. Ask for references. Ask for past people that they've dealt with that, they've provided a good experience for. Your roof in particular, it's not a bad roof, just in that area where you had a problem, it was purely just a Band-Aid stuck on there. So we'll have to do the repair right.
Yeah, good to know. And I guess that's a good question because sometimes I do get asked, and I know our guys do in the home, is like, hey, do I need a full new roof replacement? Do I just need repairs? Like, I don't know if you kind of want to speak to the differences and maybe like, because obviously any sort of repair that you do, it's never going to be like a long-term fix. But how do you kind of decipher between the two situations when maybe a homeowner would need a full new roof replacement versus like repair?
I gauge that on the roof age. If they're already at the back end of the roof life there,
Right.
then I'm gonna push them towards getting a full blown repair. Just because now we're gonna be out there all the time, nickeling and diming them for small repairs after small repairs as they come up. Yesterday, I had a homeowner that I sat with, and I presented her the repair option and told her, hey, this is going to be a long-term relationship for you and I.
Sure.
Then I presented her with the full roof replacement and said, this is the one and done. You're not going to have to see me again. And she went with the other.
She did not want to see Jeff.
She did. She said, you're a nice guy and all, but I just want to make sure that I don't have to bring you out here for this.
No, that's awesome. And kind of more on a personal note, I feel like we've obviously been working as partners. Like you've been our roofer for, I think 4 going on 5 years now.
5 years now.
And I know just different conversations we've had. As far as like kind of a personal growth aspect goes, I feel like that's kind of an area you and I have connected. Are there any specific books you can think of or podcasts or any sort of material like that you feel like has really kind of impressed you or just kind of like changed the way you thought about things, or just in general, like what is self-development, and I guess for you, and like how important is that for you?
I think personal development is it's the secret to life. I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying. I spent the last almost 10 years kind of going through ebbs and flows of personal development, and I decided when I hit 38 in December that it's time to get serious. I don't want to hit 40 and still be doing ebbs and flows. I want to be where I want to be. I want to be the man that I'm supposed to be, and I think personal development is a really big part in that. And I think it's also subjective. I could offer you a book, but it's not going to speak to you the same way that something that you find is going to speak to you.
Right.
So for me, it was Grant Cardone. That was the first person that I listened to that I actually was able to understand what he was saying and digest it. He's kind of helped me through my whole journey, I guess. But for you, it may be something different. But I would say just pick up a book. Just
10X,
listen to a podcast. Yeah, 10X.
No, and that's true. I mean, I had been to like a 10X Growth Con, and I actually had some cool experiences there. That it kind of led me to one of the guys that I really like, Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
He was one of the speakers there for First Form, and I just remember like, Grant obviously is a great speaker, Ed Milet and others, but like Andy Frisella to me just really stood out about just like his culture, to where he was talking about culture, attention to detail, that like, I mean, he would walk through his warehouse floors, bathrooms, like any speck of anything was on the floor, like he would pick it up. He never felt like he was too good for any of that.
Yep.
And I think when it comes to, self-growth, when it comes to business ownership, like there's certain things that like having that mentality that I'm not too good for this or I'm not too good for that will always reap really good rewards. Because I know when we started, our business, and maybe you felt the same, it's like you kind of get in this mode of like, oh yeah, like I'm a business owner, and a business owner means this, and you think about like, oh, it means I've hired people to run my company and it's successful and you make a lot of money, and you just kind of sit back and you're doing tough things, but maybe you're not in it every single day. But like starting a business and having it continue to be successful is always typically a lot harder in reality than it is in your mind. And in some ways it's easier in reality than in your mind. But I guess, for self-development and personal development, to me, it always just comes back to consistency. Because like you said, it doesn't matter what book you read. And even if it's a bunch of books or one book, it's like even just 10, 20 minutes a day, to where it's just like putting something good in your mind, that sort of compound interest over time is always going to kind of add up, and you're going to be a lot further ahead in 2 or 3 years having just done 20 minutes a day versus like, hey, I'm gonna hurry and read this book, and so you do that for like a week, and then you go 51 other weeks, and you're like, oh, it's the new year again. I got to start it out.
On that note, yes, listening to books is great, but if you're not trying to apply what you're hearing, it's just going to go in one ear and out the other.
Right.
And I realized that a few years into it, I'd just gone through a bunch of books, and then I'm like, man, did I actually apply any of this stuff that I was learning? So now I make it a point, you know, when I catch a little nugget in there, I'll write it down, and then I just keep hitting on that same thing until it's in my head. And now I'm using it as part of me.
Sure. Yeah, no, and I appreciate you kind of taking the tangent on the personal side. Yeah, just kind of getting back to the work side. I mean, for those out there looking for a great roofing company, whether you're selling solar or any other products, like, can't speak highly enough of Jeff and his team and Prospect Roof Co. You know, for us, it's kind of a dicey thing to enter another contractor into our experience, whether it's air conditioning or, you know, roofing or whatever, because it's like we are bringing the customer to you, in essence, and if they have a poor experience with you, that could hinder what we're trying to do, which is the solar. And, you know, one thing that I know Jeff offers us as well as our sales guys is like he's always available. You know, that's kind of availability is key. Just because it's like if our guys are in a home, you know, they have a channel where they can text Jeff directly to get an instant quote. And I guess for that, you know, from a support side, what could people expect that are, you know, selling? Like, as far as that, is that something you offer to all of your roofing partners, or?
All of my solar partners, yeah. I definitely can do the quotes while you guys are in home, or if we're about to do an appointment or whatever, I can make sure that you have that quote in hand before that date comes. The other thing is if customers have any questions, more than welcome to give me a call. I've sat with many of your sales reps on the phone with the homeowners and just kind of answer questions and help them through the whole roofing quote and everything.
Sure. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is obviously just like, you know, on top of communication, like you've sat down with all of our sales reps and you've sort of trained them as much as you kind of initially can on roofs, maybe what to look for. You know, it's kind of that education component. And I feel like if I were to describe, you know, maybe it's just my words, not yours, but I feel like all the time you're just educating people, whether it's like your sales partners, whether it's customers. It's all an education because you have a skill set, you have an expertise that most people don't have. You know, and it's like you said, like it's just kind of above the head. You never look at it, you never think about it. And so having that trust is really important because obviously people get taken advantage of in the contracting space. And I guess for you, you know, in closing, I mean, you know, with Prospect Roof Co., like I said, you guys have been partners with us for quite a while, but what's kind of next for you? What's on the horizon? What are some maybe the goals that you guys have as you move into the next couple of years and beyond?
I want to go multi-state, and I really want to get into the commercial space. When I first started selling roofs, I jumped on a few commercial roofs, and I was just hooked right away. I don't know if it was the heights or the size of it or what, or the thrill of the chase trying to find the person that actually makes the decision and then selling myself. But commercial would be definitely something that I want to push more into. I have a couple of partners that I work with, property management companies and whatnot, and that's good, but I want to push that space. I really want to go multi-state, Nevada, Oregon,
Sure.
You know, the fun states.
Yeah, the fun states.
Sorry, California.
Nevada. No, yeah, not California. Yeah, and I guess, you know, as far as you go, like I said, I mean, with Jeff and them, we've been working together for several years. Can't speak higher than, I mean, as far as from a contractor standpoint, what I love is like we never have to worry, you know, and that's the biggest thing. If I were to sum up like why Prospect Roof Co. from a sales standpoint, customer standpoint, is you never have to worry if they're doing a good job. You never have to worry where you're at in the process. You never have to worry if they're using quality products. You never have to worry if the person you're dealing with is a professional, because time and time again, whether it's with us, whether it's our people or our customers, you know, Jeff and his team have proven that over and over again. And like I said, as far as, you know, a partnership, I mean, we're just grateful to be partnered with you, to have just a trusted resource in something that's as important as a roof. And so for those of you that are either interested in maybe working for Jeff, I mean, I guess that's another aspect. Are you hiring?
Always.
Always hiring. Yeah, I mean, maybe talk a little bit more about that. Like what are some positions that, I guess obviously sales is probably number one, right?
Really anything. I mean, if you want to be part of the team and you want to be part of a company that wants to grow and help its employees, then just give us a call. I mean, we'll find a spot for you. I am a firm believer that everybody has a seat on the bus, and if you're in the wrong seat, you're not going to do your job as well or be as committed to it. So some people may start out as a sales position, but they really have operations at heart or customer service or something, you know. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I'm always going to be hiring forever. As long as we're growing, we're hiring.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for checking out this episode of the Be Bright podcast with our friend and roofing partner, Jeff Lakomy with Prospect Roof Co. Like I said, deal with them, deal with Jeff. You're never going to have to worry, and that'll put you at ease. Please like, subscribe, keep tuning in. Appreciate the support.